You want to know what the funny thing about social anxiety is? The funny thing is, when I had it, when I was younger, and when I was anxious all the time, I didn't even realize that I was anxious all the time. Right? Like, I think that now so many people blame anxiety and depression for all of their issues. Like, anxiety and any other mental health problem isn't just a symptom of living in the postmodern world because this is how our beings have adapted. This is how we have adapted as humans. We're not just, we can't just live how we once did. Obviously, we live behind, especially if you live in, medium income household societies, you live in the middle class, right? If you live in the middle class, you've just grown up, white picket fence, neighbors all around you. It's not how it used to be hundreds of years ago where the men had purpose, we had to protect, we had to provide, we had to, you know, get resources and do all of these things, and women now have to work and women are blah blah blah, but women isn't what we are focusing on today. I'm talking about men specifically here. At the end of the day, you're a man, so you can't realistically afford to feel anxious about anything. Otherwise, opportunities you have in life, they're going to slip by you, and before you know it, you're going to be at a point in life where you have nothing and all you have to blame is your anxiety and your other mental health issues. And as a man, you can't really do that because you have to make things happen. You have to push the needle forward. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You have to make things happen. You have to make things work. Otherwise, you're like low-key cook. Let me move this monitor, bro. That shit's pissing me off. You have to make things work because you can't just keep pointing fingers and blaming. That's not what life is as a man. Life as a man is you got to get up, you got to work, you got to make things happen. You have to be pushing the needle forward every single day in one way or another. You can't feel sorry for yourself, right? So, how do we stop you from being anxious or depressed or specifically anxious, right? Now, the first thing is you have to stop living in the mental plane. This is where women reside. This is where women live. Women live up here. Men live here in the physical world. Touch, feel, everything, right? I'm not saying you can't be spiritual. I'm not saying you can't develop yourself mentally, but you have to understand that the mental plane is where women reside. This is where women live. Women live up here. If you want a good connection with a woman, you connect with her up here. Men are physical. Women, mental, emotional, right? So you are in your feminine as a result of having anxiety or depression or whatever other mental issues you may have, right? Women worry a lot, and anxiety comes from living in their own head. Men, meant to be practical, meant to do, meant to just get things done. So you have to ask yourself, what are you scared of? For me personally, it was social interaction. I was scared of talking to women. I was scared of talking to new people. I was scared of meeting new people. I was scared of make new social interactions. I was scared of saying hello to people. I was scared of, and not necessarily scared, but I just didn't have the prerequisite knowledge to be able to do that because I hadn't really done that before in my life. All I had lived in was comfort my whole life. I have lived in comfort. So because I had lived in a lot of comfort, I never put myself in situations where I would be able to test myself. And because of that, up until the age of 16, 17, where I first did it and I first started talking to new people and meeting new people and doing these social interactions more, that's when I overcame this anxiety. So the goal is you need to find where this root comes from. What is the root of the problem? The root of the problem for me was I was too scared to talk to people. I was too scared to meet new people, say hello, have conversations, and whatever it was. I was just too scared. So I found the root of the problem, and it didn't realistically happen to me like I thought about it. I figured out, what do I need to do? And then I did it. It just kind of stumbled in place all for me. But if you're in this situation now, you have the opportunity to reflect and see, what do I need to do to change? Where am I going wrong? Okay, this is where I'm going wrong, so this is how I'm going to change it. And it's going to be daunting the first time you do it, but you just have to do it. And that's what it's like, but we'll talk about that, right? So, you're scared to meet new people, you're scared to talk to new people if that's your issue. So, what do? You run towards the issue. You don't run away from the issue. The issue is right in front of you. The more you run from it, the more you're scared, the greater your anxiety is going to grow, right? Anxiety, the way I view it, it's a lack of exposure issue. It isn't something that you can fix with meds and other bullshit. Any issue presented to us in the world, every issue that was presented to us in the world has, been here for a long time. But at the end of the day, most of these issues that we have now haven't been prevalent until recent times, because it's a postmodern issue. Like I said before, it's a culmination of the fact that we're not really out there doing the physical things like we used to as men, and women's roles in the world are different as well. So you have to understand that these things are different issues now. We have different issues compared to what we used to have. So you can't tell yourself, oh, anxiety and depression don't exist, because these things they're real to us now, because this is how we live, right? So, like I said, anxiety is a lack of exposure issue. It isn't something that you can fix with meds. Any issue to any problem is presented to us in the world long before you or me have been here. Anxiety is no different. It's a modern issue. Go back 100 years, there was no anxiety. Why? Because that's how the world has changed. That's how the world has adapted. Fast forward to today though, and it seems like everyone wants to hide behind mental health as a reason for why they haven't achieved their goals. Because it's easier to say that, you have mental health conditions and this is the reason I'm not winning, because you'd rather hide behind your mental health issues than to actually do the work that you need to get done. So, exposure. This is how you need to conquer that anxiety, right? Exposure. How do you expose yourself? Do more shit, right? Do more things that make you scared. If you're scared of talking to women, talk to more women. You're scared of talking to more people, talk to more people. If you're scared of, going out there and walking down the street, because I'm sure some people are probably scared of doing that, do that more, right? Just do things that make you uncomfortable. The more you do the things that make you uncomfortable, the more you adapt to those new situations, and the more you get better at handling those things. It's essentially black and white. Everyone likes to overcomplicate everything, but I like to break things down to make it simple so that everyone can understand. It's not actually that difficult to overcome anxiety, and that comes from a person that once had that way of thinking, that once lived in a more anxious state of mind, right? You have to just expose yourself slowly. Do it more. Do it a little bit. Do it more. You have to keep doing it until it just becomes the new norm. And once it becomes a new norm, you're conditioned to doing that thing. It's like conditioning when you're fighting. Conditioning is getting your cardio right, taking fucking punches to the gut until your body is adapted to be able to fight, right? You're going to have the right cardio to fight because you're constantly sparring and doing other cardio related exercises. You're doing other things that help you adapt. It's conditioning in that specific situation. Can't speak apparently, but it's conditioning in that specific situation. So if you want to get conditioned, you have to do the thing that will help you be conditioned to that new way of living. Before it may have been foreign to you, but now This is your new way of living. So accept it as is and get better. There's no point getting stuck in your own head, right? The reason you're stuck in your own head is because you don't do enough different shit. You don't talk to different people. You don't leave your comfort zone. When was the last time you talked to someone that you didn't know? It's probably been a while. That's why you're so anxious, right? Every opportunity I get, I talk to someone that I don't know. I meet new people. I'll shake new hands. I'll say hello to someone. Even if it's just walking down the street, I don't put my head down. I walk, chest out, shoulders back. I walk with strong posture. And that's just how I have adapted. I understand that strong posture exudes confidence. So if you want to be confident, you have to reflect it externally as well as internally. You look at someone in the eyes, you say hello. Not every time you say hello to someone is it going to be a smooth interaction, because it also depends on how that person is. You know how many times I've walked past someone and I've said, hey, how you doing? Hey, how are you? How's your day doing? And they just look down, or they don't hear you, or they pretend to not hear you, or they say something to you. But that's part of life, bro. That's how people are. You can't control how someone's interactions are. You know, people will probably laugh at me saying that shit because they think, oh, why is he trying to talk to me? Because people just only know what they've experienced in the past. If they don't understand, you know, people talking to them, they're not going to respond well. And that's just how it is, right? So you can't let a weird or awkward interaction discourage you from making the opportunities you want to make for yourself, talking to the new people you want to talk to, right? So you have to understand that you have to keep adapting, and you have to keep doing new things to put yourself out of your comfort zone. And I know it's just a simple way of viewing it, and it's unflattering. It's an unflattering answer, because exposure to new things is like, well, it's a pretty straightforward and simple answer. But, you know, until you become accustomed to those situations, then you'll be able to find more challenges. And most people never get to that stage because they never get past level 1. They live in a bubble their whole lives. This is why opportunities don't arise for them, and this is why they don't meet new people. This is why they don't have new interactions. This is why their life is so dull. It's the same fucking shit every single day. It's because they don't leave that comfort bubble that they have. And that's why they're anxious, and that's why they're scared to talk to people, and that's why they don't talk to people, because they have just sat in their comfort bubble their whole life, never moved out of it, and that's why they're anxious. It's no rocket science to this shit. Medicine isn't going to be able to fix your problem. I understand it's a mental issue, but meds don't fix mental issues, right? Practically doing things, that's what fixes it. Being exposed to new situations, doing things that are difficult because they are difficult to you now, and then you get accustomed to them, you adapt to it, and then you're good. Then you can have that situation 100 million more times and you won't think anything of it. You know how many times it took me to get good at just talking to people, to get good at talking to women before I was actually good at it? Bro, when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, I used to fucking shit my pants, bro. A woman would come up to me, my anxiety would be so bad that I would almost black out. That's how fucking bad it was. That's how bad it was. But I'm not scared to admit that, because I've overcome that. That's who I was in the past. But just because I was that in the past doesn't mean I am that now. I've changed. I've adapted. I'm a completely different person to how I was when I was 16, 17 years old. Right? It's not rocket science. Everyone loves to overcomplicate everything. But it's really that simple. All you have to do is put yourself out there, talk to new people, have different interactions, do the thing that you're scared of, because that's what will help you overcome that anxiety. And if you don't do that, you'll never overcome your anxiety. So, go out there every single day, do one thing that is difficult for you, that you find mentally challenging, that you struggle to do and do that thing. Otherwise, you're never going to get good at it, and you're never going to learn to adapt, and you're never going to learn to develop mentally, because a lot of mental development comes from the physical world and physical interactions, right? And that's how you learn to grow and adapt and become a better man.